The massive alien ships came down from the sky like falling stars, but these stars brought death instead of wishes. Jiwan pressed his back against a broken wall and watched the enemy vessels land in what used to be the busy streets of Seoul. The ships were beautiful in a terrible way, their metal surfaces shining with colors that made his eyes water when he looked too long. His radio crackled with static. Most of their communication had stopped working an hour ago when the aliens did something to the satellites. All soldiers, move to backup positions, he whispered into the device, hoping someone could still hear him. Minho was next to him, holding his gun so tight his hands shook. The young lieutenant had been brave during training, but this was different. This was the end of everything they knew. Commander, the news says America's navy is completely destroyed. Europe fell this morning. Giwan closed his eyes for a moment. He had expected this. The aliens were too advanced, too organized, too powerful. Humanity never had a real chance. The enemy soldiers walked through the city like they were cleaning a house. They were tall and thin, wearing armor that looked like it was made of crystal and light. They moved in perfect lines, never hurrying, never stopping. They sorted people into groups, the way a farmer might sort vegetables. Some humans were put on trucks, others were scanned with strange devices and then released. Many simply disappeared. Dr. Soman hid in what was left of her research building and watched alien technicians examine her computers. She had spent 15 years developing quantum processors that were supposed to revolutionize technology. The aliens picked up her most advanced equipment and seemed to find it amusing. They made sounds that might have been laughter, like children looking at broken toys. All around the world, the same thing was happening. Every government fell in 3 days. Every army was scattered or destroyed. The aliens put up tall towers in every major city and sent out the same message in every human language. This planet now belongs to the Zephyrian hegemony. Follow our rules and live. Fight us and die. Captain Hunwoo led 12 survivors through the subway tunnels under Busan. Above them, the city was burning with blue fire that ate buildings but left the ground untouched. Everything the aliens did was clean and efficient. They took what they wanted and destroyed what they did not need. They don't care about us at all, said Sanjay, stepping over pieces of concrete that had fallen from the ceiling. Or like ants to them. They step on us without even thinking about it. But something strange was happening in the dark tunnels and hidden places where people gathered. Strangers were sharing their last food without being asked. Scientists worked with artists to try to understand alien technology. A woman named Minji, who had taught kindergarten before the invasion, somehow convinced 300 frightened people to work together like a real community in just 1 week. In the ruins of Tokyo, a mechanic figured out how to make alien power. Cells work with human machines. In London's underground, a group of teenagers discovered how to hide from alien sensors. In New York's sewers, a retired professor was teaching people to read alien symbols. None of these groups could talk to each other. The aliens had destroyed most long-distance communication. But somehow, the same ideas were appearing in different places at the same time. The same solutions, the same innovations, the same hope. The Zephyrians updated their files. Earth was listed as completely pacified. Resource collection would begin immediately. The local species showed all the normal signs of a defeated population, scattered, hopeless, and broken. But they were wrong about that last part. In a basement in Seoul, Jiwan gathered with 30 other survivors around a small fire. They had found alien equipment that still worked, and were trying to understand how it functioned. A doctor was examining strange crystals. A student was drawing pictures of alien symbols. An old man was telling stories about his grandfather's war to keep everyone's spirits up. We can't fight their ships, Jiwan said quietly. We can't match their weapons. But maybe we don't have to. Dr. Soman looked up from the alien device she was studying. They think we're primitive. They think we're stupid. But they made one mistake. What mistake? Asked Minho. They left us alive, she said. And they don't understand what humans do when we're pushed into a corner. Outside, alien patrols walked through empty streets, their sensors scanning for any sign of organized resistance. They found nothing worth reporting, just scattered groups of survivors trying to stay alive. Exactly what they expected from a conquered species. They had no idea that in the darkness below, something new was growing. Something that would change everything. The aliens thought the war was over. They were right about that too, but not in the way they expected. 6 months had passed since the sky burned with alien ships. In her office, high above the ruined city, Overseer Valthera looked at reports from the Korean peninsula. The numbers were acceptable. Some broken machines, a few missing trucks of supplies. Nothing unusual for a newly conquered world. The humans were behaving like all defeated species, hiding, surviving, slowly giving up hope. But deep underground, something very different was happening. Jinwoo used to write computer programs before the invasion. Now he sat in an old subway tunnel, working with pieces of alien technology that he somehow understood. His hands moved over the strange crystalline circuits like he had been using them his whole life. 6 months ago, this equipment would have been impossible for him to even recognize. Today, he was rebuilding it to work better. "Look at this power crystal," said Dr. Soman, pointing to a piece they had taken from a destroyed alien scout ship. "If we change the way the energy flows and connect it to the old subway power lines, we can give electricity to all the eastern tunnels," Jinwoo said, finishing her thought before she could speak it. This had been happening more and more lately. He could see solutions to problems before they were fully explained. It was like his mind had learned to think in new ways. Heavy footsteps echoed above them as an alien patrol walked by. All 47 survivors in the tunnel stopped breathing and listened, but they were not afraid anymore. They had mapped every patrol route, timed every guard change, found every weakness in the alien security. The enemies above them moved in, predictable patterns, never knowing that every step was being watched and recorded. Sergeant Daeho crawled through a connecting tunnel with news that should have been impossible. The Seoul Underground network is now connected to Busan, and somehow we can talk to survivor groups in Tokyo, Manila, and Bangkok too. This made no sense. Those cities were thousands of miles away. The aliens had destroyed all the satellites and communication towers. Yet information was flowing between human groups across vast distances like water finding its way downhill. When someone in Seoul discovered how to make alien batteries last longer, the same technique appeared in hidden bases in other countries at exactly the same time. Yoonji held up a small device that glowed with soft alien energy. Before the invasion, she had been a biology student, just 18 years old, and worried about college exams. Now she understood alien technology better than some of their own engineers. "I figured out how their targeting computers work. If we build enough of these signal jammers, how many do we need?" asked Captain Hugh. The military man had become the unofficial leader of several tunnel networks, commanding hundreds of survivors who moved like shadows through the underground. One for every hideout, every safe house, every group of resistance fighters. Youngji said, her eyes shining with an intensity that had not been there before the world ended. "We're going to make ourselves completely invisible to their sensors." Above ground, Zephyrian technicians noticed small problems with their detection equipment. The devices flickered sometimes, gave strange readings, missed obvious targets. They decided it was caused by Earth's atmosphere interfering with their advanced systems. They made adjustments to their computers and continued strip mining the planet's resources. What they did not realize was that the adjustments they made were exactly what the humans wanted them to do, in hidden workshops throughout the tunnel systems. Human survivors were building impossible things. A former car mechanic had learned to repair alien hover vehicles. A high school math teacher was manufacturing energy weapons that worked better than the original designs. A retired librarian was teaching people to read alien writing systems. The strangest part was how knowledge spread between them. Ideas that took months to develop in one location would appear fully formed in another place on the same day. Tactical plans created in Korean tunnels would be implemented perfectly in Japanese sewers by people who had never spoken to each other. Dr. Soman looked up from her workbench where she was improving an alien communication device. Something is happening to us, she said quietly. The way we think, the way we learn, the way we connect with each other. We're becoming something new. Jinwoo nodded, his fingers still dancing over alien circuits that responded to his touch like they were alive. It started when they pushed us underground, when they made us desperate, when they tried to break us completely. Instead they made us stronger, added Hyun-woo, watching young Yoonji teach a group of elderly survivors how to operate weapons that could cut through alien armor. They united every human tribe, every nation, every person who wants to survive. Miles above them, Zephyrian mining ships continued pulling metals and crystals from the earth. Their reports showed a peaceful, conquered world where the native species had accepted defeat. Resource extraction was proceeding on schedule. The local population posed no threat to their operations. In the depths below, humans were building an army that would soon make the aliens regret every choice they had made. But for now, they remained invisible, patient, and growing stronger with each passing day. The Zephyrians thought they were mining a dead world. They had no idea they were sitting on top of humanity's rebirth. Dr. Velthara stared at the brain scans on her screen and felt her hands shake. She had studied hundreds of different alien species during her career, but she had never seen anything like this. The human test subjects showed brain activity that broke every rule of biology she knew. This cannot be real, she whispered to herself, looking at the data for the 100th time that day. Brains do not change this fast. No living thing can evolve in just months. But the proof was right there in front of her. Human brains, under extreme stress, were literally rebuilding themselves, growing new connections between nerve cells at impossible speeds. Even more strange, the brains were somehow talking to each other across vast distances, without any machines or technology to help them. She had tried to tell military command about her discovery, but Overlord Zekmar had laughed at her report. Useless biological nonsense, he had called it. The humans are beaten, scattered, and primitive. Their brain patterns are just the random firing of a dying species. But deep underground, something incredible was happening. Wonho stood in front of a glowing three-dimensional map that he had built from salvaged alien parts and human creativity. The map showed every Zephyrian base on the planet, their guard, patrols, supply trucks, and weapons, all updating in real time like a living picture. "How can you see all this?" whispered Taiyan, a physics professor who now understood alien science better than the aliens who made it. "There are no cameras, no satellites, no spy drones." "I do not know how," Wonho said honestly. "It feels like I can sense where they are. All of them, everywhere. Can't you feel it too?" Around the underground chamber, 50 other survivors slowly nodded their heads. They could all sense the alien positions somehow, predict where the enemies would move next, know their plans before they made them. The ability had grown slowly over many months, so quietly that they had barely noticed it at first. But now it was impossible to ignore. Nayeon had been a high school teacher before the invasion. Now she organized supply runs across 3 entire provinces, with perfect timing and mathematical precision. "The alien patrols will change their routes in exactly 4 hours and 17 minutes, she said with complete confidence. "They always do that when we increase our activities in Sector 12. "How do you know that?" asked Kangmin, a young man who had learned to build advanced weapons from alien scraps. "The same way you know exactly which parts we need for the new gun systems," Nayeon replied. The same way Soman figured out how to improve their power sources without ever studying their technology. The same way we all just know things now that we should not know. The understanding spread through the resistance networks like a fire in dry grass. Humanity was not just surviving underground, it was changing into something completely new. The threat of total extinction had triggered something that had never happened before in human history. Individual minds were linking together, sharing knowledge and abilities instantly across any distance. Commander G1, now leading all the resistance fighters in Asia, felt the change more strongly than anyone else. When he closed his eyes, he could sense every human survivor on the entire planet. Their thoughts, their discoveries, their battle plans flowed through his mind like a great river of shared consciousness. And through him, that same information reached every other human brain. "We are not the same species they conquered 8 months ago," he told his officers during a meeting in the Soul Tunnels. "We have become something new, something they have never seen before and do not understand." 1,000 miles away, in the tunnels beneath Tokyo, a group of survivors suddenly knew the exact layout of Zephyrian bases in Korea without ever having seen them. In the sewers of Manila, resistance fighters began building weapons using techniques that had been invented just hours earlier in European hideouts. Children in Bangkok started drawing maps of alien patrol routes in cities they had never visited. The neural network was spreading and growing stronger every day. What one human learned, they all learned. What one human discovered, they all could use. The species was becoming a single vast intelligence, made up of billions of individual minds, all working together toward the same goal. Above ground, sensor technicians noticed small, strange readings in the electromagnetic fields around Earth. The patterns were unusual but not threatening, probably just interference from solar radiation or atmospheric conditions, they decided. Nothing that would affect their mining operations or military control. Dr. Velthara looked at her latest brain scans and realized the terrible truth. The humans were not dying out or giving up. They were evolving into something that had never existed before, a collective consciousness that could think, plan, and act as one unified organism while still maintaining individual personalities and creativity. She tried once more to warn her superiors, but they were too busy counting their profits from strip mining Earth's resources. They had no idea that beneath their feet, humanity was becoming the most dangerous enemy the Zephyrian hegemony had ever faced. The awakening was complete. Now came the reckoning. The first sign that something was very wrong came on a Tuesday morning. Patrol Unit 47 Gamma was checking the ruins of Incheon when their radio signals suddenly stopped. The recovery team found their vehicles arranged in perfect circles, their weapons taken apart piece by piece and laid out like a puzzle. There were no bodies, no signs of fighting, no blood, just an empty square and words burned into the metal of their ship. "You should have left us alone, Overlord Zekmar." Read the reports in his command center, high above the conquered Earth. His hands shook slightly as he turned each page. Equipment was breaking down everywhere. Supply trucks disappeared on empty roads. Mining operations shut down for no reason. But the worst part was how the humans seemed to know exactly where to hit them and when to do it for maximum damage. "Sir," his assistant said, her voice trembling as she handed him another report. "The big mining facility in Sector 12 is completely destroyed. The humans used our own weapons against us, but they made them work better than our original designs." "How is that possible?" Zekmar demanded. "They seem to have improved our technology, sir, made it more powerful and efficient than we ever could." At exactly 7:42 in the morning, Greenwich Mean Time, the counterattack began. All across Earth, human fighters came out of hiding carrying weapons and wearing armor that made Zephyrian equipment look like Stone Age tools. They had energy guns that could bend space and time. Their armor seemed to exist in several dimensions at once. Their vehicles moved like living liquid across any kind of ground. Sergeant Heinwu led the attack on the Seoul Command Center with his squad of 12 fighters. They moved together with perfect coordination, like dancers who had practiced the same routine for years. They did not talk to each other or use radio communication. They did not need to. Each person knew exactly where the others would be, what they would do, how the enemy would respond. It was like watching a single creature, with multiple bodies carrying out one flawless plan. The Zephyrian defenders had never seen anything like this kind of fighting. They fired their weapons at places where humans had been a split second before, only to find empty air. Human soldiers appeared from impossible directions, attacking from angles that should not have existed. The alien tactical computers could not predict or understand movements that broke every rule of warfare they knew. Retreat to the backup positions. Captain Morthig shouted to his troops, but they were already scattered and confused. The humans fought as if they could read the aliens' minds before they even thought their thoughts, which, in a way, they actually could. Dr. Soman appeared next to the main alien control panel, as if she had walked through the solid wall. Her modified armor glowed with energy that was painful to look at directly. "You classified us as a primitive species," she said, and her voice carried strange sounds that made the aliens' hearing organs hurt. "But you were measuring the wrong things about us." The same scene played out all over the planet. Zephyrian military bases fell, not because of superior firepower, but because the humans had impossible tactical advantages. They knew exactly how their enemies would react, where the weak points were in every defense, which systems would fail under specific kinds of pressure. In the orbital command station floating above Earth, Overlord Zekmar watched his perfect conquest fall apart on the tactical screens. Cities that had been under alien control for months were suddenly blazing with human resistance. Military bases that had seemed impregnable were being taken by small groups of fighters who moved like ghosts. "How?" he whispered, staring at the displays. "How did they do this to us?" Dr. Velthara, his science advisor, finally understood what was happening. Her face was pale with fear and wonder. "They are not individual people anymore," she said slowly. "Our conquest caused them to evolve. They have become a collective intelligence, every human mind connected to every other human mind. They can share knowledge instantly, coordinate their actions perfectly, and adapt to new situations in real time." "That is impossible," Zekmar said. "So is everything we are seeing on our screens right now, sir." Below them, the surface of Earth glowed with the lights of cities being reclaimed by their original inhabitants. Humanity had not just fought back against their conquerors. They had evolved into something the galaxy had never seen before. The scattered tribes of a primitive world had become a unified, enhanced species with abilities that went far beyond anything in Zephyrian experience or understanding. The mining ships in orbit detected massive energy signatures rising from the planet-human spacecraft, if they could be called that, were launching into space. They moved in ways that violated the known laws of physics, accelerating without visible engines, changing direction without momentum. Zekmar realized with growing horror that the humans were no longer content to simply survive on their home world. They had tasted victory, and now they wanted more. The hunters had become the hunted. The great Zephyrian fleet ran from Earth like frightened animals. For 18 long hours, their ships loaded survivors and equipment, while human forces took apart 300 years of alien military knowledge with terrifying ease. The last message sent from their orbital command station was just one word: run. Fleet Commander Zekmar stood on the bridge of his massive warship, watching Earth become smaller and smaller on the main screen. They had escaped with less than half of their original force. Behind them, the blue and green planet that should have been just another conquered world now glowed with energy patterns that their computers could not identify or understand. "Sir," his tactical officer said, his voice shaking with terror, Our sensors show human ships following us. This should have been impossible. Just months ago, these primitive humans could barely send small rockets into space around their own planet. But the readings were clear. Sleek spacecraft of incredible design were chasing the Zephyrian fleet, matching their faster-than-light speed without any visible effort. 3 weeks later, human ships appeared at Kepler Station, the hegemony's most important military base in this part of the galaxy. They did not attack right away. They simply materialized in the star system as if they had always been there, and sent a message in perfect Zephyrian language. "We are here to discuss the terms of your surrender." Captain Wanho stood on the bridge of humanity's main ship, though. Stood was not really the right word anymore. His mind existed in all the human vessels at the same time, seeing and feeling the universe through thousands of different viewpoints at once. The evolution that had started in Earth's underground tunnels had continued growing, becoming something far beyond what any of them had imagined possible. The Zephyrian defenders at Kepler Station powered up their weapons enough firepower to destroy entire planets. They had never lost a battle in their 300-year history of conquest. Their fortress was protected by energy shields, automated defense systems, and the most advanced military technology in the galaxy. "Show them what we have become," Wanho said, and his words flowed through every human mind in the fleet. The battle lasted 17 minutes. The Zephyrian weapons fired with devastating power, releasing enough energy to turn a moon into dust. But the human ships were not where the targeting systems said they should be. They moved in ways that broke the laws of physics, existing in multiple places at the same time, their weapons firing from angles that should not have been possible. When the smoke cleared, Kepler Station was not destroyed. It had been taken apart, piece by piece. Its technology studied and improved even while the battle was happening. Human engineering teams were already rebuilding the Zephyrian systems into something more beautiful, more efficient, and more powerful than the original designs. The message that reached Zephyrian High Command was broadcast on every frequency, in every language, from every human ship at the same time. "You came to our world thinking you had conquered a primitive species. You were wrong. You did not conquer us. You created us. Every separated nation, every divided people, every competing group on our planet, you gave us a reason to unite. You forced us to become more than what we were. We are no longer the humans you found on Earth. We are something new. We are unity without sameness, strength without cruelty, evolution without limits. We are what happens when you threaten a species that can become whatever survival requires. Your empire ends today. Not through destruction, but because you have become unnecessary. We will rebuild what you built, but we will make it better. We will free those you enslaved, but we will do it with wisdom you never had. We will spread across the galaxy, but we will do it as gardeners, not destroyers. This is not revenge. This is responsibility. We will make sure that what you did to Earth never happens to any world again. We are humanity. We are many. We are the future you forced us to become." Across Zephyrian space, their colonies reported. The same thing happening everywhere. Human ships appearing not as conquerors, but as liberators. They took apart the machinery of oppression with surgical precision, freed enslaved populations, and shared technology that made Zephyrian science look like children's toys. The great hegemony that had ruled 1,000 worlds for hundreds of years found itself facing an enemy that did not want to rule them. It wanted to help them become better. The humans did not seek conquest. They wanted to make sure the galaxy would never again know the kind of casual cruelty the Zephyrians had practiced for so long. In the ruins of the hegemony's capital world, Overlord Zekmar knelt before a figure that might once have been human, but was now something beyond normal understanding. A being that existed partially in normal space and partially in dimensions the aliens could not even perceive. "What are you?" he whispered. The being's answer came not in words, but as pure understanding, flowing directly into his mind. "We are what you taught us to become. We are the children of necessity, born from your cruelty. We are the universe's way of fixing empires like yours. Humanity spread among the stars, not as conquerors, but as gardeners of possibility. Every world they touched became more than it had been. Every species they met was offered not slavery, but partnership in building something greater than anyone had imagined. The Zephyrians had tried to add another primitive world to their empire. Instead, they had awakened something that would remake the galaxy itself.